This is an early draft of the online unit specification form that will be required to complete for each of the new 30 credit units that evolve as part of the equal process. The basic layout of the form won't change too much. However, there will be considerable changes to the wording shown in many of the fields and pre-populated drop-down menus. It's still undergoing quite a deal of scrutiny in that respect. What I really want to point out here is where the principles of constructive alignment are built into the specification document. You can see here that we have space for up to 5 learning outcomes, and then slightly further down the form we have the opportunity to specify 2 summative elements of assessment. We're asked to provide information on each element of assessment in terms of the type of assessment. So these are sort of fairly broad categories, and I think this is one of the areas that we might see some changes to the wording. But let's say, for example, that the first piece of assessment is a presentation. We need to specify the weighting of that element with respect to other assessment on the unit. So let's say it's worth 40% of the overall summative mark. We're also asked to specify which learning outcomes this particular element of assessment tests. So for example, if this tests learning outcome 1 and learning outcome 2, we specify that in this particular box here. And then finally, for each element of assessment, we're asked to specify which of the graduate learning outcomes from the employability curriculum framework that this particular element of assessment relates to as well. So we may have to specify 1 or 2 of those. Overall, we're going to be expected to make it clear how all 5 of the learning outcomes are assessed. So we can't leave any of these learning outcomes that are not being assessed by any of the elements of assessment. The form is still undergoing development, as I've said, and it may change significantly. However, those basic principles of alignment will be embedded as I've shown here. So we're going to have to make sure that we've incorporated good constructive alignment into the design of our units right from the start, because it's going to be reflected here in this particular form.